We acknowledge thy presence and thy power, O blessed Spirit. In thy divine wisdom now, erase our moral limitations, and from thy pure substance of love, bring into manifestation our world, according to thy perfect law.
With a grateful heart, I bid the year farewell. As the year draws to a close, I reflect upon the joyful times as well as the lower points of the past several months. In a prayerful moment of contemplation, I feel gratitude as I accept all of it. I may have laughed and cried, celebrated and grieved, but I made it. As days turned into weeks and weeks into months, I have met the year's events with faith and have grown resilient. Now it's time for me to let it all go as I prepare to begin again. I take the lessons of the last 12 months, their joys and sorrows, and prepare myself for the new year. I let go and let God as I spiritually surrender my hopes and dreams and even my fears. I am divinely guided and infinitely blessed. I step boldly and bravely into a year that is mine to live to the fullest. Offer right sacrifices and put your trust in the Lord. Psalms 4:5.
choir. Thank you, congregation. That was fun. And did you see the words on its TV screen? This is for those of you who may be newer to Unity. We got the TV, and we're in the process of getting it online and using it more frequently. So this is really the first time that we've had that privilege. Thank you, Connie. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, our technical people that, thank God for geeks. So it is it's such a pleasure to be here. I cannot believe it's the last day 23? I mean, wasn't it just 1999 a little bit ago? It seems like, not for you. I see younger faces in here that, maybe 99 was now that, was like birth year or something. But, I don't know, it's just that these 23 years of this new millennium have just flown by for me. But and I love the daily word for today. I mean, how perfect. With a grateful heart, I bid the year farewell. And when I read the daily word today, I thought, well, this is just absolutely perfect for the Burning Bowl service because it fits in absolutely ideally. And it starts out by saying, as the year draws to a close, I reflect on the joyful times. Yeah, that's fun, huh? All the good stuff that happened. I graduated from ministerial school. I mean, it was awesome. I got to go to Unity for the first time. I mean, I've had the privilege and honor of being asked to lead this church. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. I mean, that's a pretty awesome year. And we get to reflect on the lower points. As you know, I've got a diagnosis a little while ago that wasn't the best thing that I ever heard. And a couple of days ago, I noticed my hair is starting to fall out. Yeah, it'll happen. So I went and bought a wig. Not going to use it until I have to.
A red one?
No, it's street. It's street blonde. But I told the guy in the wig shop, he says, it looks very natural. I said, for it to look really natural, the roots would have to be gray. And they're not, but that's okay. But yes, we're saying goodbye to a new year. And we remember that life, it doesn't just always bring all the good stuff. That's not the way it works. So when we look back over the past year, are we going to look back and go, well, that was good and that was bad. This is okay, this is not okay. No. The big thing, what we're going to be doing today is releasing. But one of the things that we need to do before we can fully release is acknowledge and accept what has happened. We can't just pretend that life is hunky-dory all the time. Sorry, it just isn't. What we can do is say, I am an individualized expression of the one presence and power, and therefore, I can handle this less than wonderful stuff a whole lot better than I used to. And if we can say that and really do that, that's going to make such a huge difference in our lives. And that doesn't mean that there's not going to be down times. I mean, I truly believe that I am going to come through this whole, healthy, and in better condition and spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, the whole ball of wax than I was before. But that doesn't mean that I don't have days where I throw myself a major pity party. And it's okay. I just don't want to live there. Because we bring to us what we focus on. So if I focus on how crummy this diagnosis is, well then I'm just going to feel crummier. But if I focus on the fact that, I'm lost 10 pounds, I've been trying to do that for 5 years. And, okay, I've never really been crazy about my hair anyway. always wondered what it would be like to wear a different style, to have thicker hair, to have different colored hair. I've done different colors over the years. Never quite as brave as Michelle, but she was great. But so we've had lots of good things to reflect on, and we need to accept both the good and the less than good. Because we've come to a place in our spiritual understanding that even the crummy stuff is meant for our higher good. And when we live our lives that way, that's when our lives can handle all the less than wonderful stuff that happens. I had the privilege a few days ago of visiting the Shales family at the hospital. And for those of us who knew Dean, that man, from the first time I met him, was one of the kindest, gentlest, sweetest human beings I've ever known. And their family gathered together and came together to support one another and to support their brother as he made his transition to a place where we're all going to go at some point or another. And it's still, you know, the way I see it is it's way harder for all of us that are left behind than it is for the person that is reaching a different level of life. And that's truly what it is. Because there are beginnings and endings to these physical forms, but the spirit that we are has always been and will always be. That's just, and that's truth with a capital T. So, as much as we're going to miss his physical presence, we will always have that sweetness, that kindness, that gentleness living in our hearts. And today, being the day that we have the burning bowl ceremony, today is the day that we literally let go and let God. Because, you know, there are times that we just can't handle it on our own. And those are the times when we say, okay, this is not what I expected. This is not necessarily what I wanted. In fact, it's probably the last thing in the world I wanted. Yet, I know that somewhere in this will come something for me that is better than I could possibly have imagined. Because, you know, I think we're limited in our thinking sometimes. Because we don't have that perspective of our way shower, Jesus the Christ. I mean, we can do all things, yes, but he was kind of, a step ahead of us. He had that connection. He knew without a doubt that presence and power that many of us call God, some call Allah, some call Buddha, some call Krishna, yes. So it doesn't matter what name you give it, but it can do all things. And that's why miracles happen. They don't happen because we wish them to. They happen because there's a presence and power that says this needs to happen in this circumstance. And different circumstances are different. And I don't get it. Probably nobody else in the room totally understands it. But our way shower did. He knew when the blind man wanted to see that if he truly believed it, it wasn't Jesus who was doing it. It was that presence and power within that individual. That belief, that faith, that was working to restore their sight. Because everything that Jesus did, he told us, these things I do, you shall do also, and greater things. So we have that capability. But what we need to overcome is the doubts, the fears, the resentments, the attitudes of blaming, fault finding. And too often, not only do we blame and fault find other people, when you really stop and take a look, where are you finding fault? Right here. Because anything that we see out here is just a reflection of what's going on in here. So if we're saying, oh, that person is a bad person, they did a bad thing, then there's somewhere in ourselves where we're telling ourselves that we are a bad person, did a bad thing. And perhaps we haven't gotten to the point where we've truly, in our heart of hearts, forgiven ourselves. Because you know that forgiveness that we withhold from other people because, oh, they did that to me back in 1982. And the people that we haven't forgiven are really just reflecting to us something we see within ourselves for which we have not forgiven ourselves. And I don't know about you, but I've done a few things in my life that I'm not proud of. And even though we could probably all say that, does that mean we're supposed to walk around beating ourselves up every day? Is that going to help us? Is that going to help us love other people, be kind to other people, be generous with other people? When we are unkind to ourselves, it can only happen that we will at some point be unkind to someone else. And I have learned that for me, the discovery that the people I was most unkind to beyond myself were the people I cared about the most. I thought, well, this kind of sucks. And I didn't want to do that anymore. And so what I do is look inside Anita and say, okay, what do you got in there that you're not recognizing? It's called, some people call it shadow work. Because there are things, I'm thinking that there are things that some of us in this room today need to write down on that piece of paper and put in that bowl and let it go. And I'm not saying that because you put it on a piece of flash paper and watch it just, which is a really powerful experience. That's not to say that that's not going to come back. But we have to let it go again. Acceptance and letting go, it's a process. I mean, just because someone wants to be a runner or a swimmer or any kind of an athlete, do they go out on the track and the first day they run a 3-minute mile? No. Somebody wants to be a swimmer. I remember years ago I decided I would get back into swimming. I couldn't swim a lap. But I kept going to the pool, And I kept going, day after day, week after week, month after month. Now, to be perfectly honest, I still can't swim a lap. But back then, after practicing it for months, I could swim 20. And that's the way it works. And that's why with our prayer and our meditations, we don't do it once and say, boy, that was great. And then forget about it for a month until something bad happens again. Oops, they're right. It is a practice. And it is a practice that we choose. We make a conscious choice to spend some time at the beginning of the day. My recommendations, you do what you wish. Beginning of the day, end of the day. Take some time. And you don't have to spend hours. We're not sending you to a monastery. You can just live your normal lives and spend 5 or 10 minutes, 15, stretch it out, go for it. In the morning and in the evening, speaking with that presence and power that lives in, through, and as you, and then listening. Because that's how we in unity look at prayer and meditation. Prayer is when we speak with or to that presence and power. And meditation is when we listen. We listen, not just with our ears, but with our minds and our hearts. And we pay attention, because sometimes those messages can come from the strangest places. Sometimes the most important messages come from the most difficult challenges. Have you ever noticed that? Have you ever noticed that our times of personal and spiritual growth often come from the situations that challenge us the most? Those are the times when we look deep within and maybe discover something that we've missed. You know, maybe it's something from our childhood, maybe it's something from work, even if we quit working years ago. But there's something there that we need to discover and accept. We can't pretend that life is always good and we are always happy. We have to accept the fact that life is sometimes very challenging. However, we give ourselves the recognition that we have been working on our spiritual development so that we are now to a point that we can look at something less than wonderful taking place in our lives and say, you know what, I know something good will come from this. And we may have an idea of what we would like to see that be. Not always the way it turns out. But we can have an idea of what we're shooting toward. And then we focus on that. We focus on the good we want to experience. We focus on the growth we want to experience. We focus on having more love in our hearts, giving more generously, being more open to change. Because sometimes change is the scariest thing. You know, it's important that we recognize not just our thoughts, but the feelings that those thoughts engender. Because sometimes we think something, and then we automatically want to slap a label on it. And we want to say, oh, that's bad, I don't want that to ever happen to me again. But then again, we might end up blaming ourselves for what happened. What did you do, Anita, that caused you to get this diagnosis? I didn't do anything. I don't know that I know of. But it is my opportunity. Like I said, I have an affirmation that I found in one of the Unity booklets, that I am a divine expression of God, whole, strong, resilient, and vitally alive. And, you know, I didn't tell myself that on a regular basis before I got this diagnosis. Did you ever realize, when you have a realization like that, it's like, oh, well, there's something good that's come from it already. I wasn't telling myself I'm whole, strong, resilient, and vitally alive. I was telling myself, doggone it, I'm getting old and I'm tired. But now I have the opportunity to look at myself differently, from a different perspective. You know, I was talking to my daughter the other day. She went wig shopping with me. It was so fun. But I was talking to my daughter the other day, and I know you all remember this. Remember when you turned 30? How, oh my God, 30. I'm so old. And then when you get to be 40, 50, 60, and more, that 30 is so young. I mean, our perspective changes, not just with age, but with age comes that wonderful W word, wisdom. And we grow in wisdom. And I believe that part of what's happening as we grow in wisdom is that we're raising our consciousness. That's the experience that we're here for. To raise our consciousness as close to that of our way shower, Jesus the Christ, as we possibly can in the time that we have on this planet. And part of how we do that is by letting go. And I want to share a story with you. This happened, it's a true story, happened back in December of 2005. And it was written about in the San Francisco Chronicle. And actually it was shown on television as well. There was a female humpback whale. And she had become entangled in a total spider web of crab traps and fishing lines and all kinds of strings. I mean, heavy-duty stuff. She's 50 feet long, and she's weighed down by hundreds of pounds of traps and strings and ropes. She had to struggle to stay afloat. And whales are mammals, and they need to breathe air. And so a fisherman saw this whale struggling to even stay high enough to breathe. And so he was near the Golden Gate Bridge, and he called an environmental group that he knew of and asked for their help. So within a few hours, a rescue team arrived, and they took a look at this poor whale, and they realized that the only way to free it was to dive in and untangle her, cut the ropes off of her. Now, a 50-foot whale has a tail that one slap and you go home. But they had so much compassion for this animal, they risked their own health and life in order to save her. So they worked hours, a dozen people, cutting her free of the ropes. And one of the people that did it, she had actually had it tangled inside her mouth, and they got pretty big teeth. so the person who got the rope out from her mouth was very, right there. And he said she was watching him intently the whole time. And as she watched him, he said there was a connection between him and that whale that he will never, ever forget. And they finally got her free from all these ropes and traps that were weighing her down. She swam, first of all, she swam around in just circles, just enjoying her freedom. And then she did something very interesting. She went to every single diver that to free her and nudged them with her snout to thank them. And I'm hoping that all of us will be as blessed and fortunate as that whale was as we enter the new year. Because we are also surrounded by people who are willing to help us untangle ourselves from all of the weight, all of the traps, all of the fears, all of the sorrows that we have allowed ourselves to be weighed down by, not just in 2023, but probably for a while now. So we have that opportunity right here. We have help right here. We have support right here. And we don't even have to risk our lives to do it. In fact, I kind of think we're risking our lives if we don't. So what we do here in Unity is called a burning bowl ceremony. Now, when you walked in the door, does everyone have a piece of that little kind of almost translucent paper? Everybody got one? Okay, this is called flash paper. So what I'm going to ask you to do is we're going to go into meditation for a few moments. And think about, as you enter into meditation, think about what you need to let go of. Because I know there's stuff. We all got stuff. So as you go into meditation, think about what you need to release. And then as we come out of meditation, it might be one word, it might be a short sentence, it might be 2 or 3 words, but whatever came to you during this meditation that you need to let go, we're going to write that on that paper. And then what we're going to do is we'll start at the back, come up the center, and go to the bowl where Wade will help us out. They'll be holding tongs because when that flash paper hits the fire, it's almost a little bit scary because it really goes up quick. So put your paper in the tongs that Wade will be holding for us, and then watch it disappear. And then remember the feeling of letting go and letting God and releasing that pain, that fear, that hurt, that sorrow, whatever it is. This is a ceremony where we cleanse our lives and renew our spirit, just like it says in the books. As days turned into weeks and weeks turned into months, I met the year's events with faith, and I have grown resilient. So this is going to be letting go so that we can grow even more. So let's take a moment, center yourselves, relax, take a couple deep breaths. Move to that heart space, that space where your center becomes one with all that is. There is part of you that you know is not confined to this body. There is a spirit that lives through you. And as this individualized expression you are today, but it is more. It is love, it is peace, it is joy, it is strength, it is resilience. And it is that which gives you the power to recognize, to accept, and to release the mistakes you've made, the errors, the things that you wish you hadn't done, or you wish had not happened to you. These are the things that in our human capacity alone, we don't always do very well. But there's a presence and power to which we can say, I can't do this, but I know that this presence, this power that lives in, through, and as me can do all things. So let's take a moment and sit in the silence and discover what it is that we will benefit from releasing. Divine Spirit, you have helped us to look into our own hearts and minds and discover those hidden places that we previously had not acknowledged. And we see them clearly now. And we know that if we let them go, if we allow that presence and power that can do all things to work through us, that we can truly be free for the first time in our lives. And even if these concerns come back to us from time to time, we know what it feels like to let it go. And every time you release it, it gets easier. And the time between its possible recurrence gets longer. We are free for longer periods of time. We can feel joy. We can feel that presence and power and know even in the most challenging situations that all things are truly working together for our highest good. And we are so grateful for this knowing, so grateful for this opportunity to truly let go, to accept and release all that no longer serves us. And we acknowledge this by singing and praying together the Lord's Prayer. And now, before we move to our actual burning bowl ceremony, we're going to give our tithes and offerings, because this is the time when we give back to the place that gives so much to us. And this is where we find those divers that go with us and help us to cut free of the weights and the ropes and the pain and the cares that we spend so much time trying to get free of by ourselves. When we have help, when we accept help, and I've got to tell you guys, this, for me, you know, anybody else get into this, oh, I can do it myself mode? Guilty. And this is giving me the opportunity to lean on other people, to say, I need help. And so sometimes when we're at our, what we might consider to be our lowest, we're really at our best. So let's remember, we've got each other. We can lean on each other. You know, I love that old Bill Withers song. We're going to sing that about lean on me. Yeah, that's a great tune. And that's, I mean, I love the peace song, but dang, there's something to that one too. So let's take our gifts in our hands and print it on your envelope. We can repeat together. Divine love, through me,
right before my eyes. Somebody with a hurt that I could have helped, somebody with a hand that I could have held. When I just can't see past myself, Lord, help me be a little more like mercy, a little more like grace, a little more like kindness, goodness, love and faith, a little more like patience, a little more like peace, a little more like Jesus, a little less like me. I must confess, I still need help to see the way you see. Somebody with a hurt that I could have helped, somebody with a hand that I could have held. When I just can't see past myself, Lord, help me be a little more like mercy, a little more like grace, a little more like kindness, goodness, love and faith, a little more like patience, a little more like peace, a little more like Jesus, a little less like me. Oh, I want you to listen to me, your hands to me, breathing in what I receive, Lord, help me be. I put you first above all my neighbor as myself. In the moments no one sees, Lord, help me be. A little more like mercy, a little more like grace, a little more like kindness, goodness, love and faith, a little more like patience, a little more like peace, a little more like Jesus, a little less like me, a little more like living everything I preach, a little more like Jesus, a little less like me. Oh, a little less like me.
That was good. That was good. Thank you, choir. Good choice. Thank you again. I mean, can you believe we got words on the screen?
Let there be peace on earth.
all the fears and the sorrows and the hurts and the pains. And if we have to let go again, we will. And it'll be easier next time. So let's close with our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God